Detective D, and we have a good show today planned. We're going to talk about the brand new 2009 Proto Rail, the brand new Dye I-4 for 2009. It's kind of funny, people are like, Mike, are you ever going to run out of shows? How can I run out of shows when you got a company like Dye and Proto cranking out like 100 new products a year? So first thing we're going to talk about is the new I-4s. This is a cool little mask. It's got the soft ears. Something that I really like that they did was they took the soft ears, and the soft ears kind of wrap down a little bit underneath your chin and they get velcroed in place. This way you don't have like the JTs where your earpieces are up on one side and they're kind of moved around or they slide back. There's actually Velcro right here on the just below the earlobe here that actually holds the earpieces in place, which is really nice. Something else that's really cool is Dye has finally come around the corner and joined the quick change revolution, to where you can simply quickly release the lens out of the mask, which is really nice. So basically what it is where the straps connect, it's got a little tab. You push that in and there we go. It's got these little hooks so it doesn't come out, and out comes the lens. Very nice, very easy. Comes with a high definition lens, which works great in the woods, works great in the on the airball fields. Very high definition, makes it crystal clear, easy to pick up color. Very, very nice mask. It's actually kind of funny, when I was using it, and I used this for about 3 weekends before I did a review on it, it seems like it's easier to breathe in than it is to breathe out. I don't know what it is about how they designed it or whatever, but it's like when you inhale, it's like, I mean, the air just comes right into your mouth. When you exhale, you kind of hear it back through your ears. Great mask. It's got great foam. You know, great protection, you know, in terms of the mouth and everything. With a mask this close to your face, because this thing is literally pressed right up against your nose, right up against your lips, right up against your chin. You know, you're going to want to go with a rigid frame like they did here, because if this thing was semi-flexible like that is with the Pro Flex and some of the other masks, as close as this thing is, you would practically swallow half the paintball before it broke. So great idea. They went with a very tight mask, but also it's a semi-rigid design so that you don't have to worry about getting any impacts on your face. Breathes really well. Didn't really have any issues with fogging. Obviously, as you can see here, it comes with a thermal lens, but really, really nice mask. So we're going to weigh it here in a second. Now, I will say there is as of right now, there are some lack of accessories for this. You know, the mask does not come with a visor, which some people maybe visor. You know, they like having a visor. The mask also doesn't have the Dye fan that works really nice, especially in the woods for fogging. The fan doesn't fit this one just because of the profile. But the first thing you're going to say to yourself when you put on this mask is, oh my God, this mask is tiny. And yeah, the mask is tiny. It literally feels like, almost like the old JT whippersnappers with earpieces. I mean, it is a small mask. My wife, her favorite mask, because she's got a little small face, is the V-Force Pro Vantage. And this mask is even smaller than that. I mean, it is a tiny, tiny mask. When you put it on, I mean, you're literally only looking at about 2 inches of plastic from where the lens stops to where the protection on the face stops. I mean, it is a tiny mask. I mean, you can just about take your tongue and lick the front of this thing. I mean, when you open up your mouth opens up through the bottom of it. But very, very small mask. If you've been looking for the smallest mask on the market, trying to get the mask as tiny as you possibly can, is definitely the mask for you. Really, really small mask. So let's go ahead and weigh it. You guys remember I did a mask show a couple months ago and weighed a bunch of masks. So let's go ahead and do that with this one. All right, we're at 0. The I-4, see if I can get you to zoom in here, weighs in, I believe, at 10 ounces on the dot. So I believe I read that right. Yeah. So the I-4 weighs in here at 10 ounces on the dot. Really, really light mask. I mean, it's light, it's small, it's just, I mean, if you're one of those people that are bothered by getting paintball masks because you think they're too heavy on your face or whatever, this is definitely one of the smallest, lightest masks that's on the market. The thing is absolutely tiny. Great little mask, great job, Dye. All right, now we're going to move on to the brand new 2009 Proto Rail. And this was the last year, 2008, the PMR was a big seller. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take it out of the box. Now what's kind of cool is the Proto rail comes with the same case, pretty much the same case as the DM9. So you're going to get the same nice little case. You know, it's got a nice little barrel sock in it. Comes with a great color manual. Pretty much the same board as the DM9. You know, it comes with a nice toolkit. Comes with lube, a little O-ring kit. Definitely didn't spare it. Now, something that's really cool. Now, this is not the 2008 PMR, okay? Definitely not the 2008 PMR. They completely went, just like with the SLG, and overhauled this entire gun. One of the first things that you'll notice is the new barrel. The barrel that you're going to get with the PMR is basically the same barrel that they were giving away on the older Protos, like the PM7s and stuff like that. You're getting a 14-inch two-piece, which is basically almost a Dye ultralight. I think it's only missing, if it only had like 3 more rows of porting on the sides, you would basically have a Dye ultralight. I mean, this is basically a Dye ultralight barrel. So you get an amazing barrel that comes with it. And taking a look at it, some of the things that are going to catch your attention right off the bat is obviously, one, you've got a aluminum clamping feed neck. Okay, last year's edition just had the plastic feed neck. You also have metal back cap. The plastic back cap on the older PMRs drove me crazy. It was very easy to strip, and when you were trying to take it out and put the aluminum one on there, it was a nightmare. So they went with the aluminum back cap, thank God. Also has the aluminum eye covers, Hyper 3 regulator, and the biggest thing is it's a true ultralight frame. So it's got the new ultralight frame on it, all aluminum construction, and it's got an on-off ASA, very, very reminiscent of the DM9. Now, a really common question I get from people that are asking, what's the difference between this one and a DM9? Biggest difference is the DM9. Obviously, the bolt design is going to be a little bit different, the fuse bolt, but it's got a low pressure regulator, okay? The DM9's got a low pressure regulator. This gun has, basically, it uses one regulator throughout the whole gun. So pretty much like a droid, like a shocker, like many of the other spool valve guns, it uses one regulator for the whole gun. It does not have a low pressure regulator in there to really get that soft shot. So when you're shooting it, if you shoot this one and then grab a DM9 and shoot it, you're going to feel that the DM9 shoots a lot softer than this one does. This gun shoots great, but the biggest difference, and the reason why you spend all that extra money to go to a DM9, low pressure regulator is going to soften the bolt up. This has about 150, 160 PSI going into the gun. The same pressure that it uses to fire the ball is the same pressure that it uses to cycle the bolt. But great board. It feels great in the hands. Definitely solid construction. All aluminum, no plastic here. And I mean, this is a tournament ready gun right out of the box. 450 bucks, ultralight trigger, ultralight board. Awesome little gun. Now, Willie, you guys know Willie, the Hispanic causing panic on the Tech PB team, was the one that actually wanted to test this gun out the most. So he beat the hell out of this gun, took it out to the fields, and probably put 7, 8, 9 cases through it. Had a great time. So let's go ahead and do the efficiency test. Then I'll show you the video of Willie shooting it, and then we'll come back for the conclusion. Hey, it's Mike with Tech PB, and we're about to do the efficiency test on the 2009 Proto PMR. And we're also testing out a couple new products that are out there. We're testing out the new Dye rotor. We're also testing out the Ninja paintball tanks. And what we're going to do here is we're going to take the camera off the tripod, show you the pressure on the tank, which should be sitting right at about 4,000 PSI. Then we're going to do is take a tank temperature reading to show you the temperature of the tank. Set up the camera, we're going to shoot a couple over the chronograph. We should be sitting right at about 290 feet per second. And then we're going to start dumping pods until we're done. Then what we're going to do is all the pods that we shoot, we're going to put them in here. And after the test, we're going to take the pods out and then we're going to count them. So let's go ahead and take the camera off the tripod. And I'm also wearing the brand new Dye I-4s, which are really comfortable. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is the tank pressure, which as you can see we are sitting right at about 4,000 PSI. Let's go ahead and take a temperature reading. And let's see, I got a little bit of a shadow here. And hopefully you can see we're sitting, looks like right at about 90.6, 90.5. It is kind of cool out. So now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and turn the gun on. Let's go ahead and get the chronograph on here. Let's load up our first pod. Okay, as you can see, we're sitting right at about 290. So let's go ahead and set the camera back up again. And we loaded up our first pod. So we got the camera set back up again, and we'll start shooting. Now we also have the PMR set on NXL 13 balls per second. And Willie is just holding the trigger down. So hopefully we can hear how the rotor performs in terms of any gaps in the screen. Still doing good.
No more.
Give it a second here. We'll try this last pod. Get a couple more. Nah, that's about it. Okay. So this pod, we didn't really get much out of this pod. So we'll set that one aside. Let's go ahead and count them. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and maybe 7 1/4.
Not even.
Not even, okay, so basically we'll just say 7 pods out of the 2009 Proto PMR, shooting at about 290 feet per second using the, using the Ninja paintball tank, the rotor, and I believe the tank temperature was sitting right at about 90 degrees, 91 degrees.
Hey everybody, this is Willie with Tech BB. I'm going to go ahead and do a little review on the 09 PMR and also the rotor. I've been shooting it most of the weekend, trying it out. Wanted to get some opinions and try it out and see. I will say, compared to previous versions of the PMR, this is a phenomenal improvement. As you can see, they basically went away with a lot of the composite material, leaving the composite material more for the SLG, and really making the PMR separate itself from the SLG. Is, as you can see, you've got the true aluminum frame, true ultralight frame, has the heads-up display like the typical DMs, so that you know when your gun's on, you can see the light. Another improvement is that you can see from right here is we've got the metal back cap, metal eye covers, really nice. I like the rag. You've got the clamping feed neck compared to the previous versions of the PMR that had the basic stovepipe and it was considered an upgrade. They also went from the one-piece barrel to the two-piece. As you can see, they've got the two-piece on here now. Phenomenal gun for $500, real efficient, great efficiency. Also comes with the on-off ASA compared to previous versions. So I definitely have to say that Dye really put it together and really made some major improvements for the Proto PMR compared to the previous versions. So I'm really impressed by it. Shot really smooth, shot it most of the day, really didn't have any problems. I think I had one barrel break all day. Could have been more of the paint. Another thing that I was also trying out was the rotor. Really put it to the test today. Shot probably about a case and a half through it. Had no hiccups. Shot it during the Super Gun shows, and really there was very few issues then. I think we had one jam at that. But gotta say, it is smaller, a lot more compact, a lot lighter. Well, I wouldn't say lighter, but as far as the overall light as on the top of the gun for tilting it over, it really does a nice feel for it. The capacity I wish could be a little bit more, but compared to my preference in the loader, being that I don't see as well, it helps me just have those extra shots. But other than that, I'm really like the rotor overall. It is a great option if you're a snake player. Me being more of a mid and back, I like having the extra shots. So Also difficult kind of to tell when you need balls compared to other loaders. Really all you have to see through is basically these two little windows. I did have the cap on here instead of the actual lid in comparison to the speed feed, but I mean it opened super easy, had no issues, qualms, or any issues at all. So overall I gotta say that I'm really impressed with the PMR compared to previous versions. Feels really good. I'm not a big ultralight frame kind of guy. I like more meat in my hands, but I would say this is definitely a gun that I would recommend highly in the $500 range. All right, let's go ahead and put a couple rounds through here and you can nice smooth, very little bounce. So I gotta say, overall really nice feel for the.
Okay, so now we're back. Now let's go ahead and weigh it. Always an important part of the Tech PB gun reviews is to weigh the guns. And while the scale is booting up, I'm going to talk about some of the things that you always have to be careful about, and with PMRs and anytime you deal with single regulator guns. Okay, so it looks like it came in at 2 pounds, 6 ounces. So let's boot up, let's zoom in here. 2 pounds, 6 ounces for the 2009 PMR, which is about, I believe that's about 3 ounces heavier than the DM9. The biggest issue that I've seen anytime, and it's not just the PMR, you're dealing with any sort of single regulator gun, is you need to chrono these guns to see exactly where you're shooting with them. Now, going with the Hyper 3, which they did on this year's model, it actually limits the amount of pressure you're getting into it. I believe also Dye changed the solenoid so that if you try to overpressurize the gun, the solenoid will just vent the gas into the atmosphere. But to be on the safe side, what I always recommend doing is when you get your gun out of the box, immediately just take it to a chronograph. A lot of people, what they have a tendency to do is they put their loader on the gun, they start shooting in the backyard, they're like, wait a second, that velocity looks really low, even though it's probably set at about 280 feet per second out of the factory. Then they start cranking up the velocity on their gun, which increases the air pressure going into their gun, and all of a sudden they start blowing O-rings and they start blowing solenoids, and then when they send their gun back to the factory techs take a look at it and realize that they were shooting at 380 feet per second. Don't want to do that with this gun. Take this gun out of the box, don't adjust the pressures, take it to the chronograph, adjust it at the chronograph and call it a day. Because the difference between your gun shooting great all day long and you blowing, O-rings and your gun leaking and stuff like that, once it hits about 320, 330 feet per second, you're really getting into the red zone and your gun can start leaking. So definitely be really careful anytime you're dealing with single regulator guns like this. Now, let's start taking out the bolt. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to remove the bolt. Just about 1 or 2 turns, and out comes the bolt system. Very, very easy. And basically all you got to do from here is you pretty much just take off the front bolt O-ring, unscrew the back part off, out comes the bolt, and there you go. Very, very easy, 3-piece construction. You take this, you wipe it down, put it back into the gun, all set, nothing to it. You can use the Dow lube, whatever your favorite lube is. You know, we are paintball players, we're lubricant fanatics. And so you put this back on there. Now when you're putting this back in, it is indexed. So you do need to make sure that you index it properly when you put it back into the gun. Okay, and that's indexed properly. There you go. So we've just taken out the bolt on the PMR and taking a look at it and just put it back into the gun. Maintenance on the gun is really that simple. So this is a solid gun, another solid product from Dye. The gun shot great. Willie loved it. I loved it. $450. It gets into that entry level tournament marker tournament marker. We start demanding a lot from guns once they start getting close to that $500 range, and this gun definitely delivers for $450. All aluminum construction. There's no plastic here. You've got the die electronics, the die trigger. It's got the same regulator that comes on the DM9. Basically an ultralight barrel, 14-inch all aluminum two-piece barrel. Basically an ultralight barrel. Clamping feed neck, $450. You're definitely getting your money's worth of this gun. This is another solid tournament gun, ready for tournaments, ready for hardcore woods ball play. Just about anything you can throw at it, this gun can definitely deliver. So another solid gun by Dye for the 2009 season. And once again, great job to Dye, completely redesigning their mask on with a quick change system. Nice, small, tight, light mask. So that's about it. So shoot me an email if you have any questions. I hope this helps. Thank you very much for tuning in to Tech PB.